There's been a lot going on about Star Wars in the last couple of days. There's been talk about The Last Jedi getting canceled and taken completely out of Star Wars canon. There's been talk about Kathleen Kennedy leaving Star Wars completely and being removed from head of Lucasfilm. There's rumors that Disney is shutting down the Star Wars Brie Larson, Rian Johnson hated project, hated by fans, that is. A lot going on. And look, I have no inside information on this. I have these great articles from Cosmic Book News. Let's go over them. Let's talk about them. Here's the first one. The Last Jedi is trending on Twitter. Let's hope it gets erased. Let's just hope they wipe it out altogether. Now, before we get into the article, if you want to support me, check out collegeofthedead.com. This goes right to my College of the Dead graphic novel. It's a great book. It's in print. It's shipped on time. People love it. And sign up for The Mermaids comic book. It's coming very, very soon on Indiegogo. And you can just sign up to the email list in the description. Now, on to the article. So here's the article. Star Wars The Last Jedi. And this is coming from Cosmic Book News. Matt McCloy, one of my favorites. Star Wars The Last Jedi is currently trending on Twitter with over 31,000 tweets about the controversial movie that separated the fan base and nearly destroyed the George Lucas franchise at Disney. There's so many politics going on with this, and I'm going to get into some of that because a lot of times people don't cover it. The flick, and politics is not just SJW politics, like industry politics. It's really complicated stuff. The flick was released back in 2017, directed by Rian Johnson, or Roundhead Rian Johnson as Ethan Van Sciver calls him, and was the sequel to J.J. Abrams' Star Wars The Force Awakens, that at the time was arguably the most anticipated movie of all time, as fans were salivating at the return of Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. I can tell you from experience, in the late 1980s, yes, I was alive back then, when the Batman movie was coming out, with Michael Keaton as Batman, which people were nervous about initially, and then they liked him. There was tremendous anticipation for Batman. Was it the same with Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker? I don't know. I was a kid then, so it's a little hard to say. But it was similar. It's a very big deal. Going on to the article. However, instead of getting Luke as a Jedi Master, Rian Johnson and the head of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, spit in fans' face and ruined the character of Luke Skywalker, as well as Star Wars, where things got so bad that subsequent movies failed at the box office, merchandise sales crashed, and no one went to visit the new Disney Star Wars theme parks. Now, did merchandise sales crash? Did they fail the box office? Yes, the box office was less on subsequent movies. People were disappointed. Projects like this, franchises like the Avengers, from a movie to movie, it became a bigger and bigger franchise. Star Wars has not been becoming a bigger and bigger franchise. It's still very well known, but of course a lot of people love it a heck of a lot less. And most of us, where we were passionate about Star Wars and very interested in Star Wars, we kind of don't care what happens to Star Wars anymore. It's a weird thing that they found a way to get us apathetic about such a popular, influential franchise for most people that are, at least between their 20s and 40s. Now, merchandise sales have gone down. It's crazy because Star Wars was like the most valuable toy license. And then under Disney's control, because of their position with being able to do merchandising with all the intellectual properties they control, Disney notoriously gets more for licenses than other companies do. I've heard it's as much as 50% more in terms of what they can command. So where another like Marvel, when Marvel was acquired by Disney, their revenue on licenses went up by at least 50% because it became packaged with all the Disney properties. It's a great advantage that Disney has. But that said, if merchandise sales crashed for Disney, and they did reduce, there was a lot of stuff that did not sell through. That's a very, very bad sign that if Disney can't sell it, nobody can sell it. Disney Star Wars did have attendance, but it was very light attendance. It was much less than they anticipated. And there were no references to the classic Star Wars. It was all the new Star Wars stuff that people have problems with. A recent rumor now offers that a Star Wars civil war is taking place between Kathleen Kennedy, and those loyal to George Lucas's properties, and his take, who include Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, with rumors offering Disney is attempting to make right what went wrong with Star Wars by erasing The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Skywalker from canon and resetting the franchise. What that means is they would just say, well, these movies and these characters, like what happened here, just kind of, it was fun, but it didn't exist. That's what they would say. Now, as far as resetting the franchise goes, this is an interesting story all by itself. This article, and we'll go back to the other one after this one, Star Wars Reset includes Kathleen Kennedy stepping down. Well, of course it would have to. And the article says, it is claimed that Kathleen Kennedy will be stepping down from Lucasfilm to start her own female-centric production company, which follows the rumor that Disney is resetting Star Wars. Details once again come from future ruler of Earth. Lord Doomcock has a lot of great inside information from the Overlord DVD YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel if you care about Star Wars and just kind of like any kind of interesting stuff related to this. Recall it was Doomcock who revealed all those Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker spoilers, and Doomcock even revealed trouble at Disney with Brie Larson prior to the directing and writing team being let go from the Captain Marvel sequel. He has insiders. Look at that. Kathleen Kennedy and George Lucas. Star Wars Civil War taking place at Lucasfilm. So Doomcock has gone on to record, stating sources have filled him in that a secret plan is in the works to save Star Wars that involves some of Star Wars Civil War taking place at Lucasfilm between Kathleen Kennedy and those loyal to George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni. In Doomcock's previous report, it was stated the Star Wars reset will involve the erasure of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, like we were just talking about, through a concept introduced in the Star Wars Rebels animated series, The Veil of the Force. Kathleen Kennedy's reign of terror is almost at an end, claims the YouTuber. That's funny. I hadn't read that before. I've been sitting on this information for weeks now, seeking further confirmation, because no one wants to be embarrassed with making a claim that comes out to be silly and not true. But at this point, I've heard enough from various viewpoints to credit this rumor may have some validity to it. So you got a 50-50 there from Doomcock. It's explained that Kennedy is dead set against the plan as it will undo everything she's done with Disney Star Wars. Well, yes, of course. It attacks her legacy in a fundamental way, says Doomcock. It's a stinging rebuke to her authority and vision and repudiation of her brand of identity politics, and a signal to a grateful world that the Force isn't female, but it belongs to everyone. It's also a tremendous hit to her credibility. There's no way that if you wiped out her content, that she could stay in place and have people, whose respect she needs because she's working with creative people. Even if we don't like everything they're doing, they have to respect her on some level. If they wipe out everything that she was so vehement about pushing, she can't manage the place. Kathleen Kennedy is supposedly not renewing her Star Wars contract. Obviously, the plan to save Star Wars couldn't happen with Kennedy in charge of Lucasfilm, which means when her contract expires in 2021, she'd be out. Nearly a month ago, my source notified me that a big meeting had taken place regarding the future of Lucasfilm. Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, who's the new CEO over at Disney, this guy Bob Chapek, both participated in the meeting, which is significant. It is significant. So that you need that so that she understands that this is everyone important speaking at the meeting, Bob and Bob. But even more significant was who did not participate in the meeting. Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Lucasfilm, says that is more important. I hadn't read that. I am informed that Kennedy never misses meetings of course she would not miss a meeting like these. So her absence is notable. So they're making plans without her. Then you're not going to be there anymore. If people start making plans without you, you're not going to be there. May as well resign. One would think a meeting about the future of Lucasfilm would include the head of Lucasfilm, but according to my source, Kennedy did not participate in this meeting. It is claimed that a few days prior to the big meeting, something like that is something you do to send a message to people so that you don't have to have a tough conversation with them. And then later you have it's a management thing. Then you have the tough conversation. It's claimed that a few days prior to the big meeting, Kathleen Kennedy had a meeting of her own that lasted an hour. And after she left, Kennedy withdrew from future contact with underlings. A couple of weeks ago, Kennedy's right hand contacted the staff, which is predominantly female, if not exclusively, and reported reportedly conveyed the following message on behalf of Kathleen Kennedy. Ms. Kathy has decided she will not be pursuing an extension of her contract. So if any of you wish to stay with her, you best be making your minds up. You have time, so there's no need for any rash decisions. But Ms. Kathy has plans to open a female-centric production company. Yeah, it's this sort of a thing where it's like, listen, if I can't be in control, I'm leaving. Which actually I respect. That's a good way to handle it. You know, just let people know, look, you're moving on without them. If they want to beg you to stay, it's a different story. According to Doomcock, there are rumors going around Lucasfilm that the meeting Kathleen Kennedy attended saw Kennedy provided with data regarding how the Star Wars has been failing under her leadership. Oh boy. Since the takeover at Disney, as the movies, merchandise, and parks have been downtrending, something that Cosmic Book News has been covering for years. Really doing a great job. Great website. Make sure you check this website out. At this point, I've been informed that Kennedy's contract will not be renewed. She'll be going on to create her own production company. Her leadership will be missed, but Disney looks forward to what Kathleen will do with her new company. If this is true, it appears that Kathleen Kennedy's reign of terror may be over, as we covered. A crass and tasteless propaganda film. Reference to The Last Jedi. A shameless checklist of woke talking points overflowing with virtue signaling and contempt for what Kennedy perceives as the patriarchy, utterly devoid of narrative coherence. True, not a good story. Creative integrity or anything resembling Star Wars. Kennedy had her way with Star Wars in an almost biblical sense, and then, said about changing the culture and mission of Lucasfilm, stacking the staff with feminist ideologues, and weeding out of employees that failed to live up to her political litmus test. Case in point, Dave Filoni. Doomcock goes on to explain that several years ago, Dave Filoni mocked fans at a women's conference, and when Doomcock brought up concerns about Filoni, he says his source filled him in that those comments were basically coerced because at the time, 4 years ago, Kennedy was in charge. You didn't step out of line if you wanted to keep working there, obviously. Yeah, that's the whole thing with the whole SJW woke stuff is it's got to be totalitarian because who else would follow this? She had her agenda. She told the monkey to dance, and he did, says Doomcock source at Lucasfilm. Star Wars, there is a new hope. Another Doomcock source also says that while things have been bad at Lucasfilm, there is hope. The acrimony is genuine. Lucasfilm is a house at times bitterly divided, and there is indeed a new hope for Star Wars as a number of positive changes are rumored to be coming. You can imagine that when The Mandalorian was made, at least the first few episodes, people got a sense that, hey, we could actually do this well, and it could bring a whole new classic, but a whole new take on an intriguing Star Wars that people would want to watch. Again, as previously explained, the plan is to use the Veil of the Force to cancel out Kennedy's sequel trilogy and to decanonize things. Doomcock also points out that Kathleen Kennedy leaving Disney and Lucasfilm looks to be true because of the recent announcement regarding Star Wars Celebration getting pushed back by 2 years, which is the year after Kennedy's contract expires. It's very wise. Why pre-cancel the event for 2021? After all, no one has any idea about what the situation with the contagion will be like a year from now, and why not just wait and see? Why postpone the event until 2022? Well, my friends, ask yourself, what will have ended by 2022? The answer is simple: Kathleen Kennedy's contract. I'm, of course, going to give you links to these articles if you want to check them out for yourself on Cosmic Book News in the description. Doomcock goes on to say, starting in 2022, Disney wants to start fresh with the franchise and bring the old fans back. Why would you not want to? The old fans are there to spend money and help promote your property. He says that's why I always make stuff people like. He says that Star Wars Celebration 2022 will see the announcement of new head of Lucasfilm, if not prior, and that Kennedy will be moving on. It would indeed be a significant reset for Lucasfilm, and it would generate genuine heat for a new, we saw that with Mandalorian, so that it could happen. But generate new heat for revamped Star Wars, moving back to the basics Lucasfilm originally intended, and away from the divisive identity politics that crippled the franchise and divided the fan base. It said one source is stating Jon Favreau would be named as the new head of Lucasfilm. However, another source of Doomcock says it's a completely neutral party that we brought in as the new head of Lucasfilm moving forward to calm down the internal problems and start fresh. Probably they're keeping their options open. But you do want someone who understands the franchise, because you don't want to have someone again come in and do God knows what with it. And additional rumors also stating the Star Wars parks, including Galaxy's Edge, will get remodeled to include actual Star Wars for the fans. Wouldn't that be wise? Going back to the original article about Twitter, The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Skywalker will be removed from canon, isolated in their own alternate timeline, and regarded as an Elseworlds-like installment under the label of Star Wars Legends. That's a great idea. Claims a YouTuber who has seen said Kathleen Kennedy may be stepping down, and that Disney may have decided to stop the Brie Larson and Rian Johnson movie. I'm sure that they did. There are some really funny tweets. There's also a video this person collected of Luke Skywalker talking about, basically, Mark Hamill himself talking about how the take on Luke Skywalker is not at all his character. It says here, you can say that The Last Jedi didn't ruin Luke Skywalker's character all you want, but you're disagreeing with the actual Luke Skywalker. A lot of people are commenting here. Ichibaka's great. Definitely follow him on Twitter. Ichibaka says, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker did not treat Luke Skywalker well. Yeah, so it kind of goes on and on and on and on. We do all love Rose Tico, but in all seriousness, this was not a good handling of a legendary franchise. And this has really been one of the first times that a major franchise was handled by someone who woke SJW politics and was able to do whatever it was they wanted with the property. You could ask, like, well, why is it that Kathleen Kennedy was allowed to do whatever she wanted with Star Wars? Why did Disney spend $4 billion on Star Wars and then just stick this person in and let them ruin it? Well, because Disney's an entertainment company, and Kathleen Kennedy goes really far back with Disney, farther than Bob Iger, in terms of having a lot of importance physically at Disney. Bob Iger was with ABC, and he was running ABC when Disney was acquired by when Disney had acquired Star Wars. They had acquired ABC first, but Kathleen Kennedy was heading up Amblin Entertainment, which did a lot of business with Disney. Kathleen Kennedy used to be good at what she did, or was at least highly valued by the creative community. So, she was no slouch. Here's on her. In 1981, she co-founded Amblin Entertainment with Steven Spielberg and Frank Marshall. Freaking Steven Spielberg. He's considered like beyond legendary. He's like demigod status in film. So her association with him, with Steven Spielberg, gave her tremendous power. More than that, she was put in the position of president at Lucasfilm after Disney agreed to acquire Lucasfilm by George Lucas. And George Lucas, like after the deal was done, said to Disney, hey, by the way, Bob Iger, I put my friend Kathleen Kennedy in as president, and you're kind of stuck with her. And Disney could have rocked the boat or whatnot, but they can't really afford to do things like that. You can't do that so easily. Political power becomes relevant like once you're outside of a scope of you're in your own business and you've got 2 people or whatever working with you, or 10 people. When you're an industry player in comics, in film, in television, and you're a significant known player, you don't just make aggressive changes in things because it damages everyone's credibility. And it's not just Kathleen Kennedy's credibility. It would have damaged Bob Iger's credibility, would have made him look like an idiot to spend $4 billion on Star Wars at the time and then just say, well, yeah, we're going to disrespect George Lucas, who handpicked Kathleen Kennedy, who everyone in the industry knows, who already had, through Amblin Entertainment, an office. She had an office on the lot at Disney, by Disney headquarters, before Bob Iger was at Disney headquarters. So she was not going to be able to be removed. And what we got stuck with was, this was the first time that someone decided, hey, let me take political ideologies and completely destroy normal narrative structure in film and entertainment. It's the first time it happened. So it's very credible to think about, like, well, yeah, Bob Iger was kind of put into a box because he would have looked like a moron if he had to try to pull her out or explain. He would have had to go to the board and explain to the board at Disney why, hey, I just bought this for $4 billion, but this woman they put in, I don't know, I think we should get rid of her. Like, there's no way to effectively do that. It would make him look crazy. So they were stuck with her. And then she did her identity politics and kind of either intentionally or inadvertently, while trying to change it, ruined Star Wars. What are we going to see as a result? I think this is highly likely this happens because it's kind of explainable. The idea of her doing like some female-centric thing that she feels like, I mean, they were all multimillionaires playing games, you know, if not richer. So her game is she wants a female-centric production company. Go ahead, go play around. You just can't do it with Star Wars, apparently, because they're going to be kicking her out. Again, I'm going to have links to this in the description. If you want to support me, check out collegeofthedead.com. This book's shipping already. It's my second book on Indiegogo. It's fantastic. It's really, really well written. The artwork, as you can see, is fantastic. It's beautiful. Check it out. You can also check out the trailer. It's an amazing trailer. And make sure you sign up for the Mermaids. I'm going to be launching this very soon. It is a Game of Thrones with mermaids. It's a really, really well thought out story. It is the biggest epic story, most story development of anything that we have yet in Comicsgate. I'm really proud to bring it to Comicsgate. Definitely check it out. I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.